Man, I really wanna say this is shocking, that this is surprising, that I just can't believe that this would be happening with such an incredibly competent, well-run professional organization like the WNBA. I mean, they have freaking Cathy Engelbert as their commissioner. It is hard to believe that they would fumble something like this so badly. No, come on now. Even all of y'all had to sense a little bit of sarcasm in that, right? But, yeah, I have a clip here from Dan Patrick again, because he tried to do what a lot of people don't do. And to be fair, man, I wish I could. I do my best without, and I think, you know what? I don't know, maybe pat myself on the back, but there's a lot of others too, right? Rhodes, Ben, Rudy, Venom, that, were a lot more accurate and fair than the actual media, even though we can't do what Dan's about to talk about. And hey, guess what? It looks like it doesn't really matter because Dan couldn't do it anyway. Ready? Take a listen to Dan Patrick.
By the way, just a note to the WNBA: have somebody available. Yesterday we're one of the few outlets that called looking for a quote. We couldn't even get a quote out of anybody, and Paulie was working on that most of the show. Like, have somebody available. All right, like you have to answer tough questions sometimes, and this is a time when you have to answer a tough question. But have somebody available. That's all. Have somebody available for comment. Everybody was traveling. Nobody was available yesterday. And then it spirals out of control and it gets even worse. And then all of a sudden, everybody's got an opinion about this. Even people who probably didn't even see the game. They saw the highlight. Oh my God, look at what they're doing. Okay. We've been doing this. We've been doing this since she got into the league. It will continue until something happens with the WNBA, where they have some kind of edict that says, look, it feels like we're going to the opposite extreme to not protect her. Yes, Paul.
You said this yesterday.
First of all, I want to address that last point because that's both those last mini points, because that's a huge, huge problem with the oh, it looks like we're going not to protect her. I don't know where it ever looked like the WNBA was trying to protect her. Now I see a lot of people are trying to use that spin now as this as it's being twisted as it always does. Oh, the Caitlin Clark fans want special treatment for Caitlin Clark. They want her to be officiated differently than all the other players. You can't touch Caitlin Clark. That's a lie. They know it's a lie. Well, the minions, I shouldn't insult the little minions like that, but you know what I'm saying. The followers, the cult, they probably do believe it. But the people actually spreading it, the ones with a platform, I find it shocking that most of them would believe that because they know it's not true at all. Caitlin Clark fans would absolutely be thrilled if Caitlin Clark was treated on the court the same way as the rest of the league. First of all, they're never going to do it, which is his next point about it, coming to a head. They're never going to do it because if they did, well, you'd also have to have a coach. But, again, Caitlin Clark in a situation like Olivia Miles in Minnesota, Caitlin Clark is sleepwalking to a 30, 15, 6, 8. That's the rebounds, stat line every night. Every night. If she's officiated the way the rest of the league is, so they have to play defense on her the way the rest of the league is, and also her own defense, right? They stop calling phantom fouls over and over and over again that alter her game because they put her in foul trouble, right? And you play with a coach that supports you and a system that supports you. And that's why they'll never do it because it is embarrassing. People don't want to admit it, but she is light years ahead of the rest of this league. Period. Period. That's all there is to it. But this is to go back to this main point that Dan's letting us in on. This is absolutely insane. The WNBA, think about that. The Women's Professional Basketball Association. You cannot get a hold of someone when there is a big story, right? This has been taking out all the oxygen in the room when it comes to the um the WNBA and the conversations around the WNBA lately is the play by Alyssa Thomas on Caitlin Clark, not even called a foul during the game, referee looking right at it, people going crazy as they rightfully should, and then you have all the morons and all the idiots rationalizing it and protecting Alyssa Thomas and saying how she didn't do anything wrong, and you have these idiots out there posting crap about how, oh, it's because of her shoulders, that's why she did it. Like, of course, for me, it's like, even if you didn't have the fists, there's so much else wrong about it. You saw her dive in on Caitlin Clark. The ball's not there. She drives a knee into Caitlin Clark's groin. I'm telling you, it looked like MMA, right? Got the player on the ground, and now we're going in to do some damage. And then, and you get nothing from the WNBA. And then they come out with, oh, it's been upgraded to a flagrant two. That's another issue that's terrible, right? That happened with Kennedy Carter. Nothing, although Kennedy Carter, no, that was so bad. She had a regular foul called on her during the game, and it was upgraded. This was an upgrade. And then the WNBA, though, gives no explanation. And here's what I mean by that, because here's another thing what you're seeing with a bunch of misinformation about this. Flagrant two, you get ejected. That's what happened with when Alyssa Thomas went after Angel Reese. It was called a flagrant two during the game, and she was ejected. When you get an upgrade, now, in this case, it seems more bizarre because there wasn't even a regular foul called, right? Normally, when something gets upgraded to a flagrant two, that means most likely a flagrant one was called during the game, maybe a regular foul. And since the player was not ejected during the game, right? And again, it could have happened 10 seconds into the game, so they would have missed the entire game. The only way to even that out, so to speak, is it's a suspension the next game, right? This was not a suspension for for Alyssa Thomas in the way people are talking about it, right? As if she was it was an added thing to the punishment that she received for what she did. No, all this was a flagrant two, straight up. Right. So now you have people out there like you have the Mercury coach, and he said a lot of stuff. I'm probably gonna have to do a video on that and a little more deep dive. But right, like he's talking about, oh, the league didn't even do an investigation and they didn't talk to the players involved and they didn't talk to me or my security to hey, dumbass. It's a flagrant two. This wasn't a suspension investigation. They weren't looking into something for more punishment. Okay. That's a completely separate thing. They looked at the incident, which is all they have to do because we're talking about an upgrade, whether it's an upgrade from a foul to a flagrant one to a flagrant two. Again, the WNBA is so incompetent when it comes to Caitlin Clark. It oddly went from no call at all during the game to a flagrant two. But we're talking about the type of foul being given to Alyssa Thomas for this. Not an extra suspension, which she should have gotten, by the way. Yes, there should be an investigation, and she should have been suspended with her history at least 10 games for this. Yes, I'm saying that. So now you've got all that out there as well. Whereas the WNBA, when they issued the flagrant two, they could have come out and made that very clear. If they didn't think they would have had to, they could have been available for people like Dan Patrick, made a statement later when they saw all the nonsense to be like, hey, folks, there was no need for an investigation. We just upgraded a call from the game. This wasn't an investigation into into more punishment for Alyssa Thomas, okay? But to finish up with Dan's main point is this is a huge problem for the league. You talk about the media rights deal and the CBA and all this stuff that's deserved, but the league can't even be available to media when big stories are out there, when big stories are breaking, when a lot of misinformation's getting put out there, when people have questions because you're not being forward with what you are doing. That is a massive, massive problem for this league. Massive problem. And it is a separate problem above and beyond Caitlin Clark because it tells you these are not people ready to lead. These are not people ready to make tough decisions because they're terrified of the consequences. They are terrified of the fallout. Man, anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Y'all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. Truly do appreciate it. I will talk to you later.